Hello, once again, you beautiful people. Today, we're going to be looking at Nvidia. So, I had my first comment in one of prior videos. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Diego. And because you wanted to look at Nvidia, I'm doing this video for you and for everybody else that it's wanting to play this stock. Whether you are in it already and you're thinking of when it's a good time to get out or hold or start a new position, let's take a look at this. As always, I'm going to start in a monthly chart. This is an amazing stock that has been rallying for a long time. But a few things that I want to point out in the monthly chart that are key to me is opening your eyes to a potential reversals that they do happen even in a stock like Nvidia, of something like this that happened in 2021, where the stock retraced up to 67%. All right. So 67% retracement is not unheard of for a stock like Nvidia. And I wanted to keep that in mind. Why do I say this? Because sometimes we get married to a stock we love. I mean, Nvidia is an amazing company. I remember following this since 2016 and doing a trade when I was buying it at like 16 bucks and sold it at like 24, thinking that I have done an amazing trade. Little did I know, right, that holding it for the long time would have been better. Okay. Why was I talking about the reversal potential? Because one candle that I calls a lot my attention is this one right here in November. Remember, this is a monthly candlesticks. What this means is that the activity of each one of the candlesticks is showing 1 month's worth of activity. And this one in November in particular is called an inverse doji or inverse hammer. It simply shows that prices were coming up all the way during the month. Okay, at some point that candle during the month looked like a strong green candle, kind of like this one over here, and then midway through the month or at some point in the month, it just pushed all the way back, closing still in a green candle, but showing seller pressure, showing a lot of reversals. And one of the things that technical analysts teach is that when you see these at tops or bottoms, I mean, you wouldn't know when the top of the bottom is, but when you see it at like not in the middle here, you see this one, but here it's representing that change of direction. It's simply showing indecision. People, they were not buyers, not sure that they want to continue buying all the way there. It reached the 150 mark and they pull back. Now, it's been rallying for a while, so it may be overdone and it may be time for it to pull back a little bit and get some support coming in again, some buyers getting into it, etc. The last time it did that is this one over here in August, and it's important to note also how much this could have been a decline. Even though it doesn't look like much, it's about 35%. So I think it's important to note, because if you're in a trade and you want to set up some rules of when is it a good time for you to get out of a stock, or to put a stop loss and not let the stocks fall down or take away from you what you've earned already on them. This happens in the markets. We saw it in 2008, where the SPY or all the American markets and many ones around the world fell down like more than 50% as well. Are you okay with that? If you're in for the long term, maybe that's good, and maybe you don't care about stop loss. As a swing trader, we do, because our trades take from maybe 1 week to about 3 months. With that being said, let's go into the weekly for a little deeper dive. And we see this strong uptrend still happening. We could quickly point out the pivots here on the weekly just to kind of measure an uptrend. And the reason why I want to do this a little bit more specifically is to show that the uptrend itself, if we take this pivot, is actually more of a ranging market. Or if we ignore this pivot, and that's why this is not an exact science, you could start looking at things in a very different way. It's a little bit subjective. We try to put as much objectivity as we can on this. And this is why trading could be risky, because if we put emotions, we may make bad decisions, or we may have some confirmation biases. Now, putting this helps us to see, okay, the uptrend, I mean, we already see it very clear here, but what I want to point out is this pivot over here, because to me, this will mean that even if the price retraces all the way here, our uptrend on a weekly perspective may be still intact, and we may be willing to buy all the way down here. we may not get fearful when the stock has fallen all the way here, which is, by the way, something that happened to me recently when there was this collapse on price in one of these turnarounds. I believe it was this one, this 35%, and I had an area mark over here for buying, simply because there is prior activity to that. There was some resistance that could become some support, and it was the basin prior to that emotional buyout. However, when this happened that week, this was a big bright red candle and I just got fearful and didn't get in, right? So this is what I was talking about. Emotions get the best of us sometimes, or the worst of us, and I want to point out that this could still fall down and this could be an opportunity to buy over here. Let me just keep that mark right there. I'm just going to make a little area like that, just so we identify in the weekly our playing field. On the top side, I'm going to do the same. There's not really like a basing candle that I can point out at, but we do see, and I want to point out once again, and let me draw it over here, maybe with a arrow facing down like that this candle there represents also an inverse hammer in a weekly chart. So these charts on weeklies or monthlies are very strong. They're very telling. And what it's showing again is sellers coming through. This was followed through by some selling action. This shows me that there is a possibility that this could continue a little further down. How down, we don't know. But that would mean, at least for me, that I'm not just going to blindly go and buy Nvidia right now, right over here, just because. There may be better spots over here that we could buy. Remember, if you look at some of my prior videos, you could identify now on the weekly this playing field where things will be. If we were to split this into 3 areas, I'm just going to call this one, maybe we'll start with the top since it's red over here. Let's call that expensive, and let's call this cheaper, simply like that. So we'll want to be looking at buying on the bottom and selling on the top. On a weekly perspective, we could do that, and it's very helpful to already increase the odds of having a better trade. All right, so let's now go into the daily and see what we're seeing daily. Okay, so we're coming with an uptrend as well, right? And maybe in this case, we're gonna mark this uptrend by connecting pivot, and another pivot over here. Maybe we're crossing that one a little bit, so I'm just gonna, doesn't really matter, doesn't have to be as exact there, but this line is helping us see that the uptrend could still be intact, right? But once the price crosses here, now we're going into a downward territory. Okay, another thing to point out here is we could mark the trend similar to I was showing you in some of the prior videos, which is taking the prior pivot in the daily to here, then from here to the prior high to prior low, and so on. We could continue. We just need to do a few of the past ones simply to identify that there was a high and now there's a lower high coming here, right? So this is marking something like that. And from the lows, this was the prior low and it made a newer low. So guess what? Now we're starting to see in the daily also some sort of reversal pattern where the stock stopped doing higher highs and actually is doing now lower lows. So we could also call this a downtrend in a shorter term perspective. This is very important to note because you wouldn't want to buy then. Not only we're on the expensive side of the stock like we saw on the weekly chart, now we're also seeing that there is some reversal activity happening for whatever reason, right? Maybe we're just having a break. Maybe it has rallied so much already that we need to take a step back and just wait for some reversal. Remember that we saw that this stock can easily fall 35% or even 66%. Where will that put us? Let's just have that into consideration. So if we take that prior high and we were to go back down at least over even this weekly that we marked, that's already a 38% we were talking about. Okay, so that 30% comes to like about the $100 mark. So we could expand maybe this area over here like that. That could be a good range to start thinking of starting a position for the long term on this stock. Another thing that I like about that area is that if you notice here, before getting to the 100, similar to other stocks, there's creating some resistance, it couldn't. Resistance, it couldn't. And then over here, not only just crossed through, it gapped through. So a lot of strength passed through the $100 mark. And this area later then became support. here is putting a little bit of support again. I wouldn't be surprised if there is more support again. So if you're thinking of starting a position in Nvidia, the $100 area could be a good one, always with a stop loss. And in this case, the stop loss, I will put it right here. So it gives you that opportunity to buy over here, aiming to the upside. I wouldn't be buying right now. And I also wouldn't be shorting. It's a little bit of a risky bet, especially in a strong stock like Nvidia with an up rally like it has been happening in the past few weeks. I hope that gives you some perspective. Thanks again for sending the comments. If there is any other stock that you want to take a look at, please let me know, guys. I'll be happy to look at charts, to give my 2 cents. Again, don't take any decisions based on just my comments. It's best always to do your investigation. I'm not giving any investment advice, but simply showing you some technical analysis. I think that one of the things that I was missing to do is, what if you are already on the stock and you're wanting to protect that potential for it to fall down? What I will do if I was in this stock, I will always be putting a stop loss right below prior lows. In this case, because it did new lows, and we have some 3 areas over here around the, what is this, 130, which you notice also that also in the past it was resistant, it became support. So I would say that this is an area where there could be still some support, meaning that the stock could easily turn around. Let me just throw it this way, that if it's still falling here just a little bit over the next few days, it may still do this and continue onward, right? So I wouldn't want to get out of the position right now just because there's this possibility of coming down. That's just a possibility. What we could do, it's basically put a stop loss right below here. This stop loss may protect us from losing an extra, what is this from here? Here, an extra 20%, with the potential to get back in at the bottom. Again, this is swing trading. If you're in this for the long term and the next 10 years, you just want to keep Nvidia, you may be good just holding. I'm not a fan of holding for 10 years because I want to be reusing my funds, and that's why I do swing trading. That's why this video is for swing traders more than long-term holders, but we are able to identify these entry areas for long-term holding as well. So what can you do from now on? Or let's say if you're thinking of getting into Nvidia, you could put an alert. Go to your platform where you buy stocks and set an alert to tell you when does Nvidia passes below, maybe around here, 105 or 107, something like that. So in TradingView, this is very easy to do. When you have a subscription, you just right click and it says here, add an alert on Nvidia when it gets here. And it could be check long-term buy below. And that's my alert. Every platform where you trade may allow you to do some alerts. So you just have to leave those alerts and you just wait patiently. In this case, patience is not only a virtue, but it's actually the key to make better decisions. Because of impatience, it's why the majority of traders, including myself, have lost a lot of money. We need to learn to be patient and just wait for areas to get to where we want to get. Don't get married to the stock. And if it never gets to these areas, I may never own it. And that's maybe what's happened in the past, like I mentioned before. Okay, well, I hope this helps you guys. If there are any other tickers or stocks that you want to take a look at or any charts, please let me know. We could do that for any equity markets, ETFs, cryptocurrencies, normal currencies, commodities, metals, anything can be plotted in a chart like this. We could analyze it from a technical analysis perspective. With that being said, happy Monday, guys. Have a great week. Green trades, everybody. Cheers.